Hello! I just want to say hello to the 5-ish fangirls. No, that's wrong. I want to say hello to the 5-ish fangirls. Yes, that's right.
Yes.
Is it? Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
That's
Anyway,
correct.
hello.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hello. That's 5 hellos to the 5-ish fangirls. Bye.
The tangents and squee continue all the way to episode number 8 of the 5-ish Fangirls podcast. It is Fandom Christmas, everyone. Hurrah! Hurrah! Welcome, everyone, to this week's episode of the 5-ish Fangirls podcast. Let's go around the virtual table and see who has joined us this week.
This is Brittany from Taos. This is Chrissy from Salt Lake City.
Michelle from Kitchener, Ontario.
And I am Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Hello, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and put a disclaimer here at the beginning that I, of the group, am currently traveling. I'm out of town visiting family, and at the moment we have company over, and my husband is chasing around our 2 nieces. So if you hear noises that sound like I am on the set of Jurassic World, that is what that is. So I will apologize in advance for any strange noises, thumps, squeals, and hurrahs that aren't coming from us.
Although there will be plenty of squeals coming from us, so
yes,
don't worry about that.
Yeah. Any squeals that sound like they're from a 2 or 4-year-old, as opposed to, well, actually we do sound like 4 and 2-year-olds, but a legit 4 and 2-year-old.
We're very mature 4 and 2-year-olds.
Yes.
Let's let that record stand.
Yeah. A legit 2 and 4-year-old. Those would be our nieces that are having fun upstairs. So, but other than that, we shouldn't be interrupted, I hope. So this will be interesting, the change in atmosphere as far as recording on my end. But we'll make it work. No problem. We'll get it done. So we have got a jam-packed show for this week. Lots of news that's not San Diego Comic-Con related, and then a lot of San Diego Comic-Con news, and it is literally still coming in as we speak. So we may be updating here as the show, like you may be getting real-time updates here as far as we're recording here. So let's jump on into non-San Diego Comic-Con related news first.
So, first piece of news is Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill will be joining Matt Smith at Fan Expo Canada this August. And so Matt Smith is bringing some companions. Karen Gillan and Arthur Darvill are coming to Fan Expo Canada. We are happy to announce a Doctor Who cast special event August 30th at 6 p.m. And then, so if you go to the website, and we can provide a link in the show notes, you can buy tickets to the special events, and it says, please note that these tickets do not include admission to Fan Expo Canada. So you have to spot your tickets or be able to get in separately to be able to go to this. So
cool.
So there's different packages of like different
tiers or something like that. So yeah, there's a blue, bronze, silver, and gold TARDIS package, and holy crap, that gold one is expensive.
Want your firstborn and your left kidney.
Yeah, pretty much. Wow. if you got $699 you want to spend, more power to you. So that's a lot of money. People will spend it though.
Awesome. That's true. If that stuff gets bought anyway.
Yes. So.
Oh, moving along in news because we got a lot to cover.
Yeah.
And it's all awesome. This is out of Once Upon a Time. Is it Comic-Con right now, obviously, because we're gonna get to that later. Earlier this week, we had two pieces of news from Once Upon a Time. The first piece is that they are casting yet another Frozen role. It's upcoming season 4. Frozen is coming, and they've already cast Elsa, Anna, and Kristoff, plus one more mystery character that we have no idea who she is yet. But they're also going to cast Prince Hans in the show, and there's no word on like what point in the story he is in, if he's going to be in more than one episode, if he's going to take on a main role, but they haven't cast him yet, but he is going to be in the story somehow. So it could, theories and speculation run rampant that he might be the main villain, he may be a redeemed villain, he may be just a one-off, just part of the background sort of thing. Who knows? We'll find out when the show comes back in September. And also along those lines, they also released the first promo image of Elsa from Once Upon a Time, as played by Georgina Haig, who you need to really follow her Twitter stream because it is gold. She owns my Twitter right now. I'm just enjoying her. But anyway, back to this promo image. It was on Time Magazine, Time Magazine's website when it first came out. It's of Elsa talking to Kristoff. We only see like the side profile of Kristoff, and they're talking or something. They're in a stable, and I'll be honest right now, and I won't spoil anything, but I've been like watching the set report pics come in and on Tumblr and everything, because they've been filming outside, and this picture that they released officially does not do her costume justice. I think the pictures I've seen from the set reports actually look a lot better. I know there have been people who said like that they didn't like her costume or it didn't look real good. And if you know anything about Once Upon a Time, the costumes on this show they're amazing. I mean, they're just, oh my gosh, they're works of art. In fact, they were nominated for an Emmy for Best Costume Design, and it is well deserved, and I really hope they win. And this, I don't know what the deal is with this picture, if it's just the lighting or if it's something, but the costume, from what I've seen before, or what I've seen of the set report pictures, it looks gorgeous. Not so much in this promo shot. So if you're worried about it, if you're worried about the way she looks, because I know some people are, don't be. It's just this one picture. But anyway, so Frozen is coming to Once Upon a Time. I am thrilled beyond all reason. All my birthdays have come at once with this. So I'm just excited to see where they go with it. And I will save the rest of my Once Upon a Time squeeness for later. So that's that.
Yeah. So in non-TV movie related news, unless you've been living under a rock for the last week or so, you probably know that Weird Al came out with a new album called Mandatory Fun. He released 8 music videos in 8 days. They were all over the interwebs. He used every nerdy news source that you possibly could think of, and some that I've never heard of, to release these videos. But the album itself reached number 1 on the top Hot 200 chart, which, if that is just really cool, because it is his first album to ever go number 1 in 30 plus years of him doing this. And it is he said on the Today Show a couple of days ago that this is the first time that a comedy album has reached number 1 since the early 60s.
Wow.
So this is a major accomplishment for comedy type albums for one thing, and it's also a major accomplishment for Weird Al as far as his career goes. And I'm a huge Weird Al fan, so I was super excited that he was coming out with a new album anyway, and I have it, and I've listened to it multiple times. It is awesome. But for him to go number one just makes me super happy, and I'm super excited for him to go on tour with this album so I can see him again. It's just awesome. I love him.
Well, and the marketing strategy they used was genius, because it's like because they had the 8 videos in 8 days, and you know that stuff was all over Facebook and Twitter and just everywhere, and you was like everybody had to watch those. And I missed a few during the time, so I had to go back and rewatch them. But like the first day when Tacky came out, and I was like, I check my phone when I first get out of bed and just gonna see what's going on. Yeah. And they're like, oh, this is video from Weird Al. Oh my gosh, this is hilarious. Yes. I love it. Wow. But Word Crimes, I think, was my favorite of I haven't got the album yet, but of the ones I've seen, just basically those 8 videos, Word Crimes was great. Yeah.
I've had multiple songs stuck in my head since this whole thing started, and it changes depending on the hour on which one is actually stuck in my head. And sometimes I'll have one playing in my head and I'll switch songs mid-song, so and sometimes it'll switch to a song off a different album, so I'm on a Weird Al high at the moment, which is, I'm not complaining, so, because I love Weird Al.
There are worse things to have stuck in your head.
Exactly. Yes. So if you don't have mandatory fun yet, go get it, because it's mandatory fun. It says so in the title. So. In other news from Disney, we have a release date for Pirates of the Caribbean 5. Disney Studios has announced that it will be released on July 7th, 2017, which is a long way away. But it'll be worth it because Johnny Depp will be returning as Captain Jack Sparrow. Which, that's all we need to know, is Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow. The rest of it will fall into place, and it'll be awesome. So, no word yet on a title, or any other cast. That's all we know for now. But I would imagine we'll probably know more, hopefully by this time next year, I would think. I don't know what Johnny Depp has on his plate at the moment that he's in the middle of working of. I'm sure once that's all done that they can get going on to this. So obviously if they're releasing a date, I hope that means that there's a script in place and they're just working on casting and all the other peripherals that go with that. So I hopefully we'll hear news sooner rather than later, but I know that D23 Expo is this time next year, so if we don't, I would expect probably news at D23 next year, and that'll put us 2 years out?
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that. So we'll see, but you can mark your calendars.
Soon for my Disney with Friends.
Yes.
The fall movies.
Yep. So yay, more Pirates. I love the movies, and Pirates of the Caribbean is my absolute favorite attraction in the Disney parks. So these movies existing just totally make my little pirate. Because I'm not a princess by any means, so it makes my inner pirate very happy. So, moving on to Doctor Who news, because there seems to be Doctor Who news coming out every single day.
Doctor Who Series 8, Episode 1, Deep Breath, will be in cinemas around the world. So, yay!
Yay! You can't see me, but I'm totally doing that meme of, Fry from Futurama, where he's got his hand out and it just says, "Shut up, take my money!" You hear me, movie theater people? Shut up, take my money, give me my ticket.
I know.
So,
And
yes,
we all thought that was going to be a one-time thing for the 50th, but nope, they're doing it.
they're doing it again. So
they haven't announced.
Probably because the 50th was so successful.
yes,
Yeah, that is true.
if it ain't broke, do it again.
Do it again.
If you build it, people will pay.
They will. We
Yep.
will pay.
Yes, we will pay.
Give me more Doctor Who on the big screen.
Yep.
But not the movie.
Yeah.
They've been rumoring forever. The actual real Doctor Who that could be on my TV, but I want to see it on the big screen. Yep.
Yay! So, yeah, once they announce theaters and all that, we'll I'm sure we'll post that on Facebook. So, and we'll all rush to our local box office. Hopefully.
Indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Doctor Who,
Well, I'm sorry. The Lord of the Rings director, the amazing Peter Jackson, will probably direct a future episode of Doctor Who. Stephen Moffat confirms in the latest never mind. Sorry. I can't remember the magazine and I can't get to it.
it's SFX magazine, which
Oh, okay.
check your local Barnes and Noble.
Yes.
Yeah.
He confirms that he's discussed the possibility with the director and that bringing him on board is a matter of finding the time after Peter Jackson's finished with the final installment of The Hobbit. Moffat confirmed that he discussed the possibility with Jackson, and the only real issue was... Oh, wait, I'm reading that out again. Why am I reading? Sorry. I missed it. I think it would be at some point, he said. He's still incredibly busy on the Hobbit. I've spoken to him face to face, and he would like to do one. I mean, he can do what the hell he likes. He owns New Zealand. Moffat also added that Jackson had accepted that there was no money in it. He's a nice guy. He quite often drops me a line after the show goes out. He's into it. It's just, can you make it work? Last year, Moffat said that Jackson would be willing to take one of Doctor Who's arch nemesis as payment. We give him $1, and then he would direct an episode, he said. That's what he wants, Jackson, who already owns $2, later added that he has suggested a plot set in New Zealand involving the national rugby team, the All Blacks. Something to do with the All Blacks versus the Dogs, he told Entertainment Weekly. That's a good story, and although obviously the All Blacks would have to win. Which sounds... I'm not too familiar about rugby, but I
do know. I do know that the All Blacks team is huge in New Zealand. That's like their national everything, pretty much. So that's what I've heard. There's a lot of people who live in around Salt Lake who are from New Zealand and Polynesia and everywhere. And rugby, the All Blacks. Oh yeah, they're way into it. So that'd be kind of an interesting. That'd be an interesting angle for a Doctor Who episode.
Yeah, I mean,
we don't really get sports in the show. We they have the one game of soccer, in
the lodger, and then
in the lodger.
They played cricket in Black Orchid.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the Olympics in Fear Her.
Yeah.
Kind of. But not in sports, but
not any of the
was
sporting
related.
events of the Olympics.
Yeah.
Mine, just
did
the opening
you just
ceremony.
mention Spear Hall?
Hey, the Olympics idea, it was okay.
Yeah.
There were, I don't know. I don't reserve a lot of vitriol for Fear Her that most people do. I just thought it was an okay episode, not my favorite, but it was just there. I mean, I'm not gonna.
The concept of the alien in Fear Her.
Yeah, the scribble. I mean, being being
the
sucked
Isolus.
into a drawing.
The concept of the Isolus is really fascinating.
Yeah, it was a good idea, just maybe not executed very well. But
yeah, probably. I've only seen it once.
That's probably enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably. I think its main problem is it came so soon after The Idiot's Lantern, and they're so similar.
Yeah.
In tone, not necessarily in other things, but anyway.
So,
All right.
So if
Wait.
Peter Jackson wants to direct Doctor Who, I say let him do it.
Yes, I am all for it. I am totally all for it.
I mean, they've gone to Spain. They've come to the United States for filming. You know, let's just go all the way around the world. Go to New Zealand. Why not? Just do it.
Yep.
Yeah, go to
They can
New
make it
Zealand.
work.
Yeah.
I'm
I mean,
cool.
they don't have to pay him, so they can spend the money to send everybody there. So
Yeah.
just ship along an extra Dalek and just leave it on his front door
they
with a
could-
bow on it, and
They could do if they wanted to get their money's worth out of it, because Deep Breath is it's 75 minutes long, so it's basically 2 episodes worth of budget. I guess they could make it their money's worth and do a feature-length episode. Make this not necessarily a movie, but a little bit longer.
yeah.
Since now they're setting this precedence with Deep Breath, I'd be I'm gonna do
another
that.
feature
Or maybe make it like a Christmas
feature-length
special.
episode next season
It doesn't
for
usually
Peter
long.
Jackson to direct.
Yeah.
Sure, why not?
Yeah.
That would
There was
probably work because Peter Jackson is a movie director, so he used to doing that big sweeping.
Yeah.
storytelling
So
epic.
a feature-length episode would be more in his ballpark than the regular length episode.
That's true. Unless
Yeah.
he wants to just do something different as a director, just because I've done the big long thing. Let's do something a little more, a different challenge sort of a thing for him.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
but they'll work all that out. If it is meant to be, it shall be.
Yes.
And I'm
if
all
it's-
for it.
And if it's set in New Zealand, well, that's really close to Australia, and we can bring this in Illustratus back.
Hey,
That's true.
yes. If they want to go that direction, they certainly could. Anyway, whatever they decide, I'm good with. I've gotten to the point with Moffat that I'm like, you know what, whatever you want to do it. I'm happy with it.
Like, I will watch it.
I will.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well,
Because I know he does a good job. I trust him to take care of it, and yeah, why not?
we'll also mention that in I'm assuming it's the same issue as of SFX magazine that Moffat also teases each episode of series 8, but we're not going to read those because they're somewhat spoiler-ish, but we'll put a link to that, so if you are up for reading that, or if you happen to pick up that that issue, that just know that there's possible spoilers in that article as well.
Very, very mild spoilers.
Yeah.
I mean, some of it is if you have been following set reports, that's nothing new other than the order of the episodes that they're in. But if you haven't been, just steer clear. Some of it I didn't even know when I read it, and I don't mind that I know this now, but some people, not everybody feels that way. So
Yeah.
they're interesting.
Some people think titles are spoilers, and they don't want to know those.
Yeah,
Spoilers.
which is fine.
Yes.
Except we've totally been talking Deep Breath this whole time, so oops.
Oh well.
Sorry?
Yeah.
Sorry about that. Anyway.
Well,
Sorry, I'm
that's
so
kind of
sorry.
been all over. So if they didn't
Yeah.
know that by now, I'd
Yeah.
be very surprised.
That's hard. That's hard to avoid sometimes.
like-
and you know what? The titles get you excited for for the upcoming stuff. So
Yeah. And this one's probably a warning. We have to take a deep breath before we watch it.
no kidding.
Have my inhaler at the ready.
Speaking of taking a deep breath, this whole weekend so far has been one deep breath after another, because it has been that most wonderful time of year, San Diego Comic-Con.
Yes, San Diego Comic-Con, and it's been just
It's been
gushing. Just the post on Facebook and especially Twitter. I've been following the SDCC hashtag on Twitter, and I look away for like 5 seconds, and I come back, and there's like 120 tweets, new tweets. I'm like, people.
Some of those are even people who aren't even there. They're saying, "I wish I was there."
Yes, that's true. So
I'm guilty of tweeting such.
Yeah,
but that's okay. Anyway, we'll dive right into this because there is so much to cover with this, and we're barely scratching the surface. There was some stuff we had to cut out because we had it all listed.
Yeah.
But the first thing is sort of a relatively low-key thing, but I wanted to point it out because I've been recapping, or I did recap the whole season, is 24 Live Another Day, panel featuring Kiefer Sutherland and executive producer John Cassar. And we have a link to a live blog from Digital Spy. But basically, this panel, they thought they were going to announce that 24 is coming back, and they're going to do another mini-series or another series like what they just did. But there wasn't anything like that. It was mostly just sort of a wrap-up of of them thanking the fans for being so loyal, and talking about about filming Live Another Day, and just sort of how far Jack Bauer has come, and some of the other characters, and just kind of a really good all around appreciation of the show and where it started. I mean, if you like, I've followed 24 for quite a while, and I was really bummed out when it was canceled. But if it hadn't been canceled, I wouldn't have started with Doctor Who. So there's sort of a connection for you. But like, you watch Jack Bauer's progression from, he's this, in season 1, he's this family man, kind of has a fairly normal life, works for the government as a federal agent, and then just every season just gets more and more broken down, and where Live Another Day left him, which, I don't know, well, I guess the statute of limitations has run out on spoilers for it. For me, it wasn't the ending I would have envisioned, personally. I kind of wanted more of a happier ending, but we didn't get that, and it doesn't look like they're going to revisit that anytime soon. But it was, the panel, it was really good. I was really glad to see that they did have that presence there at Comic-Con, even though Live Another Day is over, and all there is left to promote is, the Blu-ray's coming out. So, but it seemed like a really good time. The fans were appreciative, and yeah, it was just a lot. It was just, I mean, no new news came out of it. It was just a good thing to have to wrap up the franchise. And there was some questions about, would they make a movie? Would they do this? But it was most of that whole, never say never, but there's no plans to do anything new as of yet. But it was, for me, I just enjoyed having the show back. It's how I kind of I used to recap and review it. It's one of the first things I really got into blogging about, and that's kind of been my my style of blogging. I mean, I kind of get a little more serious about different things. Like, for some reason, even though 24 is such a heavy, serious show, and they deal with a lot of heavy, serious things, I make so many jokes about it. I mean, I'll put a link to my recaps of the episodes, but they were just like, I just made jokes about everything, and it was just so much fun, and it's an enjoyable show. Anyway, didn't really talk much about the panel, but it was there, it happened, and yeah, I'm glad it did.
Cool.
So back to the whole thing about the Doctor Who teasing in SFX. The only title in the article, at least in the Cult Blocks article, is Deep Breath. All the other ones, it just says episode 2, episode 3, episode 4.
Oh, okay.
And who wrote it.
Yeah.
So,
that's good.
If you're worried about episode title spoilers, don't be. It's apparently not in here. So.
Okay.
Just to clarify, that's good. So.
Just to clarify, because I was I wanted to see if there were any, and there aren't, except for Deep Breath.
Yeah.
So.
That's good.
Yep.
So. In Disney news from San Diego Comic-Con, which there's a lot of that too, and more to come, I'm sure. one thing that I'm very excited about is Pixar is going to be airing another short. This time at Christmas. It will air on December 2nd, and it is called Toy Story That Time Forgot. They released one at Halloween last year that was the Toy Story of Terror, which I watched, and it was adorable, and it was awesome, and the Toy Story characters are just, some of the best, animated characters ever of all time. But the official synopsis is, during a post-Christmas playdate, the Toy Story gang find themselves in uncharted territory when the coolest set of action figures ever turn out to be dangerously delusional. It is all up to Trixie the Triceratops if the gang hopes to return to Bonnie's room in this Toy Story That Time Forgot. So. Apparently, it's going to involve dinosaurs. They released a poster for it, and it's got these dinosaurs and this main dinosaur that it kind of looks like He-Man or like very 80s. Like cartoon-ish or Thundercats or something like that, but it's like this dinosaur and he's all muscly. He's got like 6-pack abs and he's got on armor and he's holding like a mace type thing, and he's got other dinosaurs around his feet that also have on armor and all spikes and stuff. So it's funny. I'm sure it's I don't expect it to be, anything other than just fantastic as we expect from the Pixar camp. So that should be exciting. So expect that on TV on December 2nd, and then probably released on DVD, Blu-ray, sometime after. I don't remember what they did with Toy Story of Terror. They released it in conjunction with something else, so I would expect that to come out on DVD after it airs, probably with something else, or maybe they'll package them together. Who knows? So, looking forward to that. In some Marvel-related news, the Amazing Spider-Man 3 has been pushed out to 2018. No specific date as of the moment, but they have decided to push that out for unspecified reasons at the moment. So if you're a fan of the Spider-Man franchise, you're going to be waiting for a little while before you see Andrew Garfield take on the Spidey suit here. So. And then also Marvel announced dates for the upcoming Marvel movie releases, and we shared an image on our Facebook page that has the dates that Marvel announced, but the image also has the movie titles, and at this point we're not entirely sure if that is actually accurate or not, other than Age of Ultron. We know for sure that Age of Ultron is and Ant-Man are for sure, and we actually do know now that Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out on July 28th, 2017, but we'll get to that in a minute. But the other ones are not confirmed as far as we know. So
blame it on the excitement and the hype and being drunk off of Comic-Con, because that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
And that was my fault. I apologize.
Yeah. So.
I was just like, oh, of course they've announced this. And it's on Facebook, so it must be true.
Exactly. It's on the internet, so it must be true.
So, oops. Mea culpa. I own that one. Sorry.
Yeah. So, I mean, if it does turn out to be true, it's actually quite interesting. We do know that there is a Doctor Strange movie coming. there's no announcement as far as a date for that particular one, where it's going to fall in the cinematic universe. We don't know who's going to be in it. There's rumors running rampant about who is in the final shortlist for playing Doctor Strange. I've seen Benedict Cumberbatch's name come up several times, which I would like to put my vote in for that one.
That would be good.
Yes, and
there was somebody else I saw. Now I can't remember whose name it was.
Yeah, I'm blanking
but there was someone else, but I think it was because because at one of the interviews at Comic-Con, because Benedict was there promoting Penguins of Madagascar.
Yes.
Which I didn't realize he was in that too, but okay. But someone was asking him, are you... They said, "Are you going to be Doctor Strange?" And he looks around and goes, "Doctor who?" And, everybody laughs at that. And that GIF was running around Tumblr. So that's the only...
I saw that.
Yeah, that's the only reason I know that Benedict was rumored to be in talks of that. I mean, he kind of had this look on his face like, yeah, I might be, but I'm not telling you.
Yeah.
So
I might get in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, as is wont to happen at these big conventions when people ask about sensitive information and everyone just kind of goes, maybe, no, I don't know. I'm looking at you, Once Upon a Time people, right now.
Yeah.
Sitting on all your little secrets.
Yeah.
That's okay, just keep them.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll get to that later.
Yeah. So.
I'm impatient, I'm sorry. There's a lot to get through.
She's really excited. So I will say that if this list happens to be true, even if the order itself maybe changes and maybe the titles may change, that I am, if even this partially turns out to be true, I'm actually kind of excited because there is a Hulk movie on this supposed list, which I'm quite excited about because I've been jonesing for a Hulk movie with
Mark Ruffalo.
With Mark Ruffalo as Bruce Banner and the Hulk to spearhead his own movie. So if that comes to fruition, I not that I won't be waiting at the ready for any of the Marvel movies, but especially this one, because other than Robert Downey Jr. as Tony Stark and Iron Man, I absolutely adore Mark Ruffalo's interpretation of Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and I really want him to get more screen time. So outside of the Avengers movies, so I really hope that happens. So
I second that.
yes,
yeah,
He's my favorite.
I third and fourth it.
So I actually just side tangent here. I'll try to make this quick. But I actually read an interview with Mark Ruffalo last week or the week before, and the person interviewing him asked him if he was up for a standalone Hulk movie, and he actually said he was. And he said it would be interesting for them to see where they can take the characters, because at this point you don't need another origin movie because that's been done twice. It's no longer Banner getting this ability that he doesn't want and trying to get rid of it. It's now he's come to terms with it, and it's more him and the Hulk coming to terms with existing within the same body and trying to, because Banner is the opposite of everything the Hulk. I'm paraphrasing what Ruffalo said, but he said that Banner is what the Hulk is afraid of. Banner is intelligent, but he's not strong. But he's, he can think. And the Hulk is everything that Banner is afraid of. He's extremely strong and is out of control, which Banner, doesn't like being out of control. So he said it'd be quite interesting to, they're at war with each other, who's going to be the dominant personality. And he said it'd be interesting to see where they can take that now that we've got the origin, and we know that, Banner's secret is he's always angry, as like he said in the Avengers. It'd be
Love that line.
Yeah, is like where can Banner go from here now that we've got the backstory and we know that he and the Hulk are, in tune with each other, I guess, or not in tune with each other, depending on the situation. So anyway, slight tangent there, but like I said, I love Ruffalo's Banner and Hulk, so I.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Yeah.
So. That'll be awesome.
Yes. So. Any hoozles. In other news, did we lose Michelle? Did she get lost in the vortex?
Oh,
Michelle,
no,
are you
sorry,
there?
I had my mic muted.
Oh.
Sorry.
Wrong button.
Okay.
Don't push the red button.
I was like, she there?
Sorry.
Okay. That's okay.
Anyway.
People have been known to get lost in the vortex. It does happen.
Den of Geek has an article about Jeff Bridges and Lois Lowry discussing the upcoming Giver movie at San Diego Comic-Con. So, but apparently the panel wasn't very full.
Oh.
So, it was one of those ones that you could just walk right in and get a seat. So, but the fans who were there were very interested in the book, and most of the questions during the Q&A were directed at the author, Lois Lowry. So,
that would be amazing to sit in a panel with her.
There was a video message from the director, and then the director introduced the lengthy trailer, which was under 10 minutes, and apparently felt like it pretty much told the story of what happens in the book or the movie. So,
well, the thing is about The Giver, I mean, we've got The Hunger Games, and we've got Divergent and Matched and all these dystopia things, but The Giver was really the first book, the first dystopia for kids and teens, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, before you had Fahrenheit 451 and 1984, but those dystopias weren't written specifically for a young audience. I mean, I first read The Giver when I was in 4th grade, and I was, and I never imagined they'd be able to make this movie. And I never thought, that was never my thought of, I hope they ever make this movie, because that's like one of my favorite all-time books ever. I mean, I don't know how many times I read and reread that book from the time I was 9 till now. I mean, God, I'm thinking about it, it's been 20 years that this book's been out, and it's just so thought-provoking on so many levels, and you get more out of it as you get older. I mean, there are things I never contemplated when I read it when I was 9 that, maybe 5 or 10 years later I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't realize this was in here. And it's a book that I think I think everybody ought to read it. It's just one of those things. And so the movie, it's sort of like when John Carter came out and people weren't familiar with it, or they didn't realize that, John Carter came before Superman or before, Star Wars, and those are the things, and those were inspired by John Carter. And so, they didn't quite know what to think of that movie. But, if people know that, The Giver is something that it probably inspired the Hunger Games, or it influenced in some way. It came before. It's sort of like, the granddaddy of young adult dystopia. And it's just such an amazing book. And I really hope, the movie, I'm really kind of nervous about it because I love the book so much. I'm nervous about how it's going to be, how it's going to tell the story. Although Lois Lowry, she was at the panel. She has had nothing but praise for the movie makers, which in my book, that's a lot. That goes a long way for my enjoying a movie like this, or giving it a shot. Whereas some of the
Nope. Chrissy, did we lose her?
Just cut off mid-sentence.
Uh-oh.
Hello?
Technical issues.
Chrissy?
Chrissy?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? Did
She fell into the vortex for a second.
What happened?
Hello? I'm here.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello?
Yes.
Hello?
Okay.
It's like
I don't know what happened.
she fell
So
into the
guys-
vortex.
You guys didn't get lost?
No,
It was just
No.
me?
it was just
Okay,
you.
that's weird.
They grabbed your
Anyway.
ankle and they yanked you in, and you were scrambling and you climbed back out.
Okay, sorry. I don't know what happened. The guy came and looked at our internet today, and I guess he fixed it. I don't know. But anyway,
It happens.
So where did I cut off? I was like in the middle of this big long.
You said something about Lois Lowry, and then you
Okay.
disappeared. So
Anyway, Lois Lowry wrote The Giver. She put her stamp of approval on this movie. That does go a long way toward me wanting to see it, even though at first I wasn't that thrilled about it. So I still might go see it. I hope that it's better than what the promotional stuff has been, because I haven't been that impressed. Because it all just looks like you're retreading all the other, Divergent and Hunger Games and stuff, and I'm like, but this is different. This should have something else with it. But anyway, read the book if you haven't, because it's so good. And if you want to talk to me about it, because I would love to have someone just to discuss it with. Yeah, hit me up on Twitter or somewhere, Facebook or Tumblr. And I will wax eloquent at length about this book, because it's just fantastic. Anyway, sorry, Michelle, I kind of hijacked your discussion of it. What else did you want to say?
There wasn't much else that I don't think I was saying, but we also have a general recap of the panel, which it goes like every couple minutes talking about what's happening every minute or two. So if you want to take a look at that, we can put the link in the show notes.
there's been several news sources that have been good about like typing out and live blogging the panels. So if you because I think San Diego Comic-Con like frowns upon videoing, especially the big panels.
Unless you have permission.
Yeah, so you're not likely to find at least decent video. I'm sure you could find somebody that's like sneaking, but it's probably not high quality. But you more than likely, at least for some of the larger panels, you can find like transcripts of the panels. So
yeah, or people will pull out their phones and do like a little 10-20 second record of somebody answering a question.
Yeah. So
yeah,
that's good.
Although I did just find a link to the entire fan favorites panel, which I'm going to watch after I am done here. Surprisingly, no one.
So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No one should be surprised. Although Misha Collins is on that one too. Anyway, next
bit of news for all you brown coats out there.
The Firefly class will be reunited again for the online video game, and my link's not working, so I can't really get too many details.
Yeah, the article's not really a whole lot, very long. It is.
It's mostly
Firefly Online.
With a trailer at the end that's basically you can customize your character to look like you, but with modifications if you want.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like make yourself taller or whatever. And you're captaining a ship. So, Alan Tudyk is set to play multiple roles, and Michael Fairman will come back as everyone's favorite crime lord Niska, according to IO9.
Nice.
And then it talks about Firefly being canceled and how that's been referenced in pop culture a lot recently.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Especially on Castle.
Yeah. Gee, I wonder why.
Nathan Fillion is still bitter.
I think he has good reason to be.
Mm-hmm.
Although I did see
Sorry.
Oh, I did see a picture of Nathan Fillion dressed as Captain Kirk for something.
Something or other. Yeah, I did see
something
that.
or other. It was just, I don't know the context of it. I just saw it and laughed because I'm like, of course, it's Nathan Fillion. Why not?
I'm just really excited because I've been on like Firefly's been on my mind lately, especially because I had a friend of mine who just watched Firefly and Serenity for the first time this last couple of weeks, and he really loved it. So I was like, yes. And then like this news comes out, I was like, oh yay! And
Perfect.
it makes me want to take out my Blu-ray discs and watch them again because I love them.
I feel like I'm due for a Firefly rewatch. Especially Shindig. I just wanted to watch
a good one.
Kaylee. I wanted to watch Kaylee and be in her pretty dress and be all. I'm a tough mechanic, but I like pretty things too.
I think she's probably one of my, if not my all-time favorite character on the show. It's hard to like have my favorite because I love all of them, but.
Well, it's because they all have their very distinct personalities and very distinct characters, and you love them for all different reasons. That's the strength of the show and why it still has an audience even after so long.
Yeah.
But anyway, yay Firefly.
Yay.
Well, speaking of shows that oh, go ahead, Brittany. Did you have something else to say?
No, I was just saying that I'm excited for this game and I'm gonna try it out when it comes.
It sounds like a good deal. Well, speaking of shows that are not canceled at all, I promised that there would be a rant about this, and I will deliver. By golly! So Wednesday night, I get on Tumblr, and this is the eve before Comic-Con, and not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse, except there I get on Tumblr, and there is this large graphic drawn by Brian Konietzko. I never know if I say his name right. One of the creators of The Legend of Korra. And it says, in big letters, Korra not canceled, moving to digital, we'll talk at SDCC, thanks for caring. And it's a drawing of Korra shivering in the snow, and I'm like, what in the world just happened? What did I miss? So somewhere from between me leaving work and getting home, which is about a half hour, some bomb went off. And apparently somebody was setting their DVR to DVR Legend of Korra on Friday, and they noticed that it had been replaced by, on Nickelodeon, by a rerun of SpongeBob SquarePants. The fandom was none too pleased about this, to find out, and everybody got on Tumblr and like, what the crap is going on? What happened? Because the trend has been for this season to have 2 episodes every Friday. And everybody panics, because that's what we do when bad things happen. Fans panic about these things, even when it's not warranted. Well, this time it was warranted. So apparently Brian and Mike, who were presumably on their way to San Diego for Comic-Con or were already there, had to get on and tell and then say, we're going to discuss it at Comic-Con. Don't worry, it's fine. But you tell fans not to worry, and we're going to worry. So what the deal is, they had their panel already planned out, and let me see who was there. Shoot, what'd I do with it? Okay, the panelists included Michael DiMartino, Brian Konietzko, Janet Varney, David Faustino. Janet Varney plays Korra, David Faustino plays Mako. Seychelle Gabriel is Asami, John Michael Higgins is Varric, and Mindy Sterling, Lin Beifong. Those are the actors that were there at this panel, and this had already been planned and everything. So they were at the panel. The panel was really good. And everybody just has a lot of love for this show, and that's what the fans expressed is like, you know, this show has been kind of been given the short stick because it's, and Brian and Mike even said at the thing, you know, this isn't what you know, Nickelodeon's normal fare. I mean, when you've got a show like, you know, SpongeBob is your big thing, or Dora the Explorer, or, you know, whatever else, Legend of Korra is a little more high class, I guess you'd call it. And so fans had kind of felt like Nickelodeon had not been treating the show very well with the marketing, and like there was that leak at the beginning of the season, and it was rushed to premiere, and so people were a little worried. Well, what's going on? What's happened? What happened is the TV ratings for Korra were not very good. Like they were barely clearing 1 million, which is not that great. When a SpongeBob rerun apparently draws 3 million, which, you know. There's the commentary on the state of our society there. Anyway, I'm a little bitter about this still. But anyway, but the digital downloads or the digital streaming, when they would release it online, those numbers were through the roof for Korra. So basically what they said, this is an industry thing that they're switching over to digital. And so it's only so Korra's not going to be on TV anymore. It's the rest of season 3 is going to be on digital, and then season 4 will be a digital rollout as well. And so they're going to have it on Nick.com. Okay, where did it go? I know it's on Hulu. Moving to a digital only release schedule. It'll be on Hulu, Nick.com, Amazon. Come on, where's my list? I thought I had it, and I don't. We'll put the link up. It'll be there. But Brian and Mike, they did thank the fans for being good, for, you know, wanting the show and you know, having concern about it, and saying that this is what Michael said on his Facebook page. He says, "Hey everyone, I appreciate all the support for the show and share your frustration. The good news is you'll be able to see the rest of book 3 of Korra, and there's most definitely a book 4. The pre-production is done for book 4, and they're still working hard on the animation, and basically, and they did apologize for the way that the announcement was handled. It could have been done a little bit better. They admitted to that, and I'm blaming Nickelodeon marketing department for that because they can't do squat. Okay, this is where it's going to be. Amazon, Google Play, Xbox, and Hulu, and I'm certain it's on Nick.com as well. And I have a Hulu Plus account, so I'm like, hey, that was a great investment I did. Kind of the same way I felt when they announced Sailor Moon was going to be released on Hulu, and I can see where this would be something. You know, the industry is turning more toward online only releases. I mean, I don't have TV anymore. I just, you know, whatever I can get online is what I watch. And I have a Hulu subscription, and I get everything. Pretty much everything I want to watch is on there, with the exception of a few things which I can find elsewhere legally and everything. I just wish that they didn't have to announce it this way. I feel like, you know, the network really screwed the pooch on this one, but you know, it just kind of, you know, they're more concerned with that dopey yellow sponge thing, and you know, whatever. I can deal with it. I understand. I'm in the minority of what kind of entertainment I like. But what really kind of makes me sad about all this is that book 3 was rushed to premiere. Like, I feel like, because they had this whole presentation ready, and they were showing concept art of the new characters, but we've already seen all these new characters. So this panel really should have been able to release, you know, premiere it in September like they planned. This would have been this is what's coming up new, and there's all the new stuff you can see, and we could have been excited about it. But now it's like, oh, you've already seen this for the last, you know, 3 or 4 weeks. But here's some cool concept art anyway, and stuff. But yeah, the panel.
This
Go ahead.
panel should have been promoting book 3, not kind of cleaning up from the botched whatever this was.
Yeah, and the leak was not unlike what happened with Doctor Who and Deep Breath. Is, you know, they were sending the episodes out to their it was their Latin America office to promote it there, and they were doing the translation stuff, and somehow episodes 3, 4, and 5, or 4, 5, and 6, something like that, were released.
No, I think it was 3,
and so
4, 5.
Yeah, 3, 4, and 5. I think you're right. And so they were like, and I saw another article that's like, oh, because they're like telling the people who are pirating this stuff, oh, well, you have the power now because now you forced us to premiere it. It's like, well, no, you don't have to premiere anything. And so they had to rush the promotion, and there really was none. So people didn't even know that it was on until, oh my gosh, Korra's on. How did that happen? We didn't think it's coming back till September. Well, it wasn't supposed to. So anyway, I mean, it's just such a good show.
Doctor Who, like you said, you mentioned Doctor Who when you were talking about this, and Doctor Who, they're not rushing anything.
I know. I mean, they're saying, "Hey, we're putting it out in theaters. We're doing this, but we're doing our big world tour, but it's still going to be August 23rd. It's not going to be next week because we're scared of a bunch of hackers that want to do this stuff." So yeah, Nickelodeon, they really, really bungled this one, and it's a real shame that it was Legend of Korra that they bungled it with, because it's the highest quality show they have, even though it's might not be their biggest money maker. But so many people, when they watch Avatar: The Last Airbender or they watch Legend of Korra, they all sit around and go, "This is on Nickelodeon." They cannot believe it because it is such a good show. It is a show that parents and kids can watch together, and the parents don't feel like, "Oh, I have to sit through this," because they're like, the kids love it because of the characters and the animation and the stories. Parents love it for the same reasons, but in different ways because the characters are so complex. And this year has been so much about family and about those deep relationships. But kids will get on a certain level, but adults will sit there and just look at it like, this is just, I mean, it's amazing what they can do, and it's an animated show. And, in the United States, animation, you usually think, oh, it's cheap kiddie fare, like it's not that great. But this studio has proven that you can do animation and tell a mature, deep story and still have it be fun. I mean, there's still a lot of good humor in it and a little bit of lowbrow humor. But Shakespeare pandered to the lowest common denominator too. But there's just it's something for everybody, and I wish, I don't know, I feel really strongly that this is just such a great show. I'm kind of sad that it's only going to be, have one more season after this, but I can understand why. And I can understand the digital release. I wish they could have announced it a little bit better, but it is what it is. So it's going to be, so the first 8 episodes, as I understand it, already are on Nick.com. The first 3 I saw were on Hulu the other day. So go watch them, support the show if you like it, and keep the digital ratings high. And you know what, if this is the way the industry's going, I think that's a marvelous thing. I'm glad that things are going digitally, because a lot of people, myself included, are not watching cable TV anymore. They're watching it online. Anyway, that's what I've got about Korra, and we'll put up a link about the panel too, because there was some really good moments. The cast, well, they had a big sing-along of Secret Tunnel, which was kind of this folksy song from one of the episodes of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and it's kind of funny and it's kind of cute. And apparently Janet Varney had to be coached beforehand because she wasn't in that episode. She wasn't in that series, and they're like doing the Secret Tunnel song, and there's a picture of her learning the words before, and she's got this look on her face like, I have no idea what's even going on. And Mike is standing behind her just grinning like, haha, we're making you do this. And also Seychelle Gabriel talked a lot about Asami and Korra's relationship, like how it's this really cool, friendship between girls that isn't, involving boys so much. They're not worried about, oh, does he like me and stuff, even though these girls have, not really fought over the same boy, but there's kind of a little bit of a love triangle. But there's not
involved with the same guy.
Yeah, that's what it was. But they, but now they're best friends, and it's so cool to see that. I enjoy that, and they're really good. They're really good together, and I love the dynamic between Asami and Korra, because Korra's this tough tomboy. She's the Avatar. She kicks butt, and Asami is kind of this. She's higher class, but she kicks butt in her own way. And she's a little bit. She's not demure, I want to say, but she's a little more girly. And so it's an interesting combination for those two, and so I enjoy their dynamic. And then you have Bolin, who is just, I love Bolin so much. He reminds me of Sokka, and Sokka was my favorite in the original Avatar. Oh, I miss Sokka.
I've been going back and watching the original Avatar on Netflix.
I take it you're enjoying it?
Very much so.
So yeah. So
although, can you answer something for me? Does Toph not show up to book 2?
Yeah, Toph is in book 2.
That's what I thought. Like, because I figured he's learning waterbending book 1. He's gonna probably learn earthbending book 2, firebending book 3, probably, right?
Yes, because and that's the Avatar cycle, because that's how it goes. It goes air, water, fire, or air, water, earth, fire, and there's a. Did you see book 2 of Korra?
Yes.
Okay, so there when they had those episodes about Avatar 1 and the first Avatar, and you actually watch it, and he learns the elements in that order as well. So and depending on which nation that the Avatar comes from. So
because they would start with their own and then follow the cycle after that.
Yeah, that's kind of that's what I was getting at. So yeah, because Korra learned water first, and then she learned earth, and then fire, and air was the first one, and that was the one she struggled the most with. And now she's learning metal bending, which is kind of cool, which is an offshoot of earth bending.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, because in the gap between Avatar: The Last Airbender and Legend of Korra, all these additional bending styles seem to have been developed.
Yeah,
right? With the metal and the blood bending, all this stuff. So it makes sense that the Avatar should expand a little bit into that.
Well, metal bending and blood bending were in the original. I don't want to spoil too much for you. And there was one called swamp bending, and there was sand bending. So there's different offshoots of bending already, and just some.
But it seems like it's become more. The other styles of bending have become more prominent in the intro.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
so it makes sense for the Avatar to learn different offshoots to keep up with that sort of thing.
And Aang does learn some of those, but his concentration in the original is he's got to learn all the basic elements in order to defeat the Fire Lord, and he's on a deadline, so he just focuses on the basic ones. But there's nothing to say that between Avatar and when Aang passes away before Legend of Korra that he didn't learn other forms of offshoots of bending. So and there are comics. They're still the graphic novels are still telling stories of Aang and the original Team Avatar. So I think some of those actually do cover some of that. I would have to see if they actually, but I want to say they are. But don't quote me on that. I gotta go check.
Okay.
So anyway, I'm glad you're watching it. I'm glad you're enjoying it.
Yeah, it's good.
I need to. I've said it before. I watched Avatar when it was on Nick when I was a kid, and I've been meaning to watch Legend of Korra. It's just
now you can watch it online.
Which is
I'm
awesome.
not sure if they're going to put the first. I don't know if they'll put the first 2 seasons online or not. I think they should, but who knows?
Yeah,
they're probably on Netflix or something. Maybe. Maybe
the third one's gonna be on Amazon. Hopefully, the other 2 are on Amazon because I have Amazon Prime. So.
Oh well, yeah, that would make sense. I'll have to look that up and find out. So anyway, that's Legend of Korra. It's not canceled. It's just online. So go find it and watch it and be amazed by the joyousness of it. And this season is really good. I didn't know where they were going to go after season 2 because season 2 is just huge and amazing. And it's like, how are they going to do this? But yeah, they're doing a really good job with it. And
the season 2 finale was just big whoosh game changer thing.
Yeah, it really was, and that's
what are they gonna do now?
I know. It's like, where do you go from here? But I think they've done it. I think tone wise and story wise, I think they've done exactly what they needed to do, and I have nothing but high praise for them for the whole show. Everybody who works on that just does a bang up job, and they deserve success. So if they can find success releasing this digitally, I'm cool with it. I just wish the announcement could have come out a little bit smoother.
Yeah.
And I'm not the only one who says that, so.
Moving on to a panel that I was super, super excited about, and they were going to live blog it, and I wanted to follow along, but I couldn't at the time, which makes me sad. But thankfully, there is a write-up here that we will put a link to. That is the Marvel television panel as opposed to the movie panel, which we will get to. This was specifically for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Agent Carter, and they did, the first half was all about Agent Carter, and it had the showrunners and the pilot scriptwriters and Haley Atwell, who plays Agent Carter, and some of the things that we've learned about Agent Carter, which will be on TV come this fall, is that this it will take place after the first Captain America movie, obviously, because Winter Soldier takes place in current time. But it takes place after Captain America First Avenger and before the Agent Carter one-shot. Which, if you've seen the one-shot, you know what happens in it. If you haven't, go find it and watch it. I'm not going to spoil it. But knowing what happens in the one shot, it's interesting how I'm interested to see how they make Peggy's storyline work. But it's going to be interesting. So there's that. Right now, they don't know who they might bring in, who's been in the movies and the one-shots yet. They would like to get Dominic Cooper, who played Howard Stark in the first Avenger, but they haven't been able to confirm him yet, but they would like to have him. The Russo brothers, who directed Captain America the Winter Soldier, are going to direct episodes 2 and 3. Which should be exciting. They haven't started shooting yet, so there's nothing on film. But the first 2 episodes, we will see Peggy's early military training. And they would also like to have some other strong female characters in the show as well. And they said that Agent Carter is definitely about Peggy staking a claim as a strong female character in a male-dominated social structure. And Haley Atwell says she will be a role model for young girls as they see her kicking butt on screen. So that's very exciting. And then the second half of the panel was for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., which included the showrunners, including Jed Whedon, who is the brother of Joss Whedon, along with the cast, Ming-Na Wen, who plays Agent May, Elizabeth Henstridge, who plays Simmons, I butcher his last name every time, Ian blah blah blah, who plays Fitz, Brett Dalton, who, and Chloe Bennett, who plays Skye. Brett Dalton plays Grant Ward. Chloe Bennett, who plays Skye, and Clark Gregg, who of course plays Agent Coulson, or Director Coulson, as more accurately said, called now, Phil Coulson. And according to the cast, obviously they're taught. We've got the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. out there, so it was a lot of them recapping the season and all that. But the recap, whoever wrote the recap refers to everybody as their character name as opposed to the actor's name. But Fitz is completely heartbroken that, and obviously, if you've not seen Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. here, spoilers, but, as we specified, statute of limitations is long past, so sorry. But Fitz is completely betrayed and heartbroken by Ward's betrayal. And May was really happy to beat the crap out of Ward in the finale. Skye is still bummed that she only got to be an official S.H.I.E.L.D. agent for literally a day before it all went to hell in a handbasket. She still thinks that there's a chance she and Ward can get together, but until Ward, she said, until Ward shapes up his attitude, she is pulling for Skye Simmons, and she's named them Skimmins.
That's been on Tumblr. Skimmins has been a really popular ship on Tumblr.
Yeah. So,
and you skipped the one about Simmons thinking the roles making her smarter.
Yes. Yes. I'm trying to read here, and it's quite the Simmons thinks that the role is making her smarter, which I think Simmons shorts herself. She's a lot smarter than I think she allows herself to think she is. But apparently Brett Dalton was filming when the executive producers gathered together and told him they wanted to see him, and apparently he dragged his feet to go to the office or whatever to see them because they thought they were going to tell him that they were killing off Ward, but instead it was them telling him that Ward was going to be Hydra. And the person posted a picture of Brett's face, and it's him with his eyebrows up to the top of his head and his mouth and his jaw on the table. Just, holy crap! What the hell? Which is very funny. They also made some cast announcements, although one of these was actually announced a couple days before San Diego Comic-Con. But Lucy Lawless is going to be making an appearance as Isabel Hartley, a longtime agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. who always has a knife by her side. And if you don't know who Lucy Lawless is, Xena, Warrior Princess. So that should be interesting because we know she can kick butt, at least as Xena, so I imagine she'll kick butt as this S.H.I.E.L.D. agent as well. There's going to be a character called Lance Hunter that will be played by Nick Blood, who is not a S.H.I.E.L.D. agent. He is a mercenary who used to work for a British organization, Strike, in the comics. Apparently Coulson is going to be actively recruiting people in season 2 of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. because at the very end of the season, as Fury scurried off into the shadows, he named Coulson director of S.H.I.E.L.D. So he's no longer Agent Coulson, he is Director Coulson. So Coulson is actively trying to rebuild S.H.I.E.L.D. So apparently Lance Hunter is not an actual real name. I don't know if that's a code name or what. We'll see here.
Somebody was joking around it's like if Lance Hunter is a real name, then Wolf Blitzer is a real name too.
Yeah.
And there's an actual news personality named
Wolf Blitzer. Yeah. So.
CNN or something. I don't remember.
Yeah. So.
But yeah, that was sort of the joke.
Yeah. So. Daniel Whitehall apparently will be the big bad. Apparently in the comics he's known as Kraken. Apparently he is the head of Hydra, at least at some point, in the comics. the person writing this is hypothesizing that might be the very they said drippy is the description they used in this write-up. He's the drippy guy we saw at the very end of season 1, who is also possibly Sky's dad. So that could be very interesting as well. Just overall, just, you know, nice to hear the cast talk about the show and sort of recap and what they're looking forward to. Fitz and Simmons don't want Ward to rejoin the team. Sky also offers a no, but begrudgingly. She's willing to overlook his evil as long as his abs stay in view. So, and Coulson would like to see Ward make a peace offerings to the team, perhaps in the form of a tiny monkey bought for Fitz.
Oh, I want Fitz and a tiny monkey. Yeah. Let's do this thing.
So, but they did play a teaser for season 2, with which is a fun little teaser. It's almost 4 minutes long, which has the gentleman, which I still question what his name actually is, considering there's 2 of him, or at least 2 of him. If you saw the last few episodes, you know what I'm referring to. He's got a thing with lanyards, which is, everybody's got their thing. But the most interesting thing about this teaser actually comes in the last few seconds of it, when his twin brother, and I'm considering we don't know if he's a twin or a clone or what, I'm using the word twin very loosely here, appears and tells him that there is a phone call for him, and it is Bobby Morse, who apparently is known as Mockingbird, and all he tells his brother is that Bobby says she is in. So we'll, and his brother gets very excited and scurries off the screen and says that he needs to tell Director Coulson, and so that should be interesting. Apparently in the comics, Bobby Morse marries Hawkeye, so maybe we'll see Hawkeye. Who knows? But interesting stuff. And there's a blooper reel as well that they showed, that you can also watch that, and that will also appear on the DVD. The DVD's, I think, supposed to come out in early September, so you can find that, and I'm sure all sorts of behind the scenes and fun stuff on the DVD. So that should. I
hope there's some commentary. I love commentary.
Yeah, yeah. So
there should be.
Yeah.
There ought to be.
Yeah. So
commentary is the best.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, no kidding.
Commentary and behind the scenes stuff. Those are like my favorite things on DVDs.
I know. So. Blooper reels. Blooper reels. Deleted scenes.
Blooper reels are fun too. So I'm a sucker for production. I already
watched the season 1 blooper reel.
So that is what's come out for as far as the Marvel TV universe is concerned, and we'll get to the cinematic universe here in a minute.
Yes,
but we're gonna.
We have another TV property, which buckle up, kids, because this is gonna be a fun one. So all day today, I have been I was at work, and they almost had to scrape me off the ceiling because I was stealing glimpses of the Once Upon a Time panel and everything else that was going on. I mean, the cast got to San Diego last night, I believe, or yesterday afternoon, and it was so glorious. It was so much fun. The panel, I'm just trying to think where to start. Well, one of the biggest things that came out of the panel is more about Frozen. They showed a short little clip, which I haven't been able to find the clip. It must not be posted online, but I did see a couple images. They had Elsa and Anna, and spoilers ahead. they're actually this everything Frozen related takes place after the events of the movie Frozen. And so, you know, Elsa, she's back being she's Queen of Arendelle. Everything's great. Anna and Kristoff are getting married, which is where this opens, and they're actually visiting their parents' graves, which I did see a shot of. It was sort of a scenery shot of them going up to their graves, and the stones look exactly like the gravestones that were in the movie. If you watch the opening sequence with, you know, when they have their parents' funeral and Anna's there by herself, and they have, like, the shape of the stones is the same in what they're doing with Once Upon a Time. So I was like, man, that is just such great attention to detail. I reblogged it on my Tumblr. I'll see if I can find the link to that, because I was just floored by it when I saw that. I'm like, that is so amazing. So, and then they also had a few other little treats. One thing is Jennifer Goodwin. She couldn't make it to Comic-Con this year. I think she's been all the other years that Once Upon a Time's been, but she just had a baby, and so she sent to be there. But, you know, I'm working hard back here in Vancouver, and she made a joke about, you know, I posted it on her Facebook page. She's like, you know, the doctors tell me I should be expecting a lot of ups and downs of this postpartum depression, but, you know, I've actually been okay. So all the crew comes out and says, oh, you know, we got to get this one in one take. I hope that's. It's like, oh, that's fine. Oh, you know, you lost half your lines in this scene. Oh, that's okay too. But then here comes Michael Sacha, who is he's going to be a new regular in the show. He was in Once Upon a Time in Wonderland, but now he's in the main show. And he comes out and says, craft services ran out of the cheesy puffs, and and Ginny grabs this big stick, and just whaps him with it. And it's so funny, because he just comes out, because all these other things are going on, and then she turns around and just sweetly says, because she's Snow White and she's just this lovable, sweet person, goes, see you all in Storybrooke. And I watched it on my lunch break, and I just laughed and laughed and laughed, and it was so great. And then they also had another video showing, quote unquote, behind the scenes of the writer's room. It's a spoof, obviously, but they're talking about like what they're going to come up with for season 4. So this is how they came up with the idea to do Frozen, and they have this whiteboard with just all this stuff about like there's a section of unexpected villains, and they list puppies, toddlers, the elderly, flowers, plants, home furnishings, and Canadians. And there's all these. Well, hey, they did it. I'm just. It was.
No,
they were joking about.
Why?
Oh, I know. They're being silly, I guess. And the other one they're talking about, and on the list and down a little ways, is Nathan Fillion as one of the castles. They're gonna set us in. Oh, it's hilarious, and there will be, we have links out the wazoo for this. So anyway, so those were the video offerings they had. For the panel itself, it was moderated by Yvette Nicole Brown, who she was actually in the show last season as a voice of Ursula, in episode 6, I believe. It was like it wasn't the Regina version of Ursula, it was the actual Ursula. Anyway, long story. But Yvette Nicole Brown moderated, and in attendance of this panel, where did my list go? Oh, shoot. There was Josh Dallas, Jennifer Morrison, Colin O'Donoghue, Jared Gilmore, Robert Carlyle, Lana Parrilla, Neil Donovan, where the cast were there, and then Adam Horowitz and Eddie Kitsis, or the creators. And oh my gosh, this was just such a blast. I mean, I haven't watched the video of it yet. The video I just showed up on Tumblr, or no, wait, that was a different video. Never mind, but it will show up eventually. They just played to the audience, and it was just so great, and just so all the quotes and stuff that came out of this, you just tell they were just having so much fun. And they talked a lot about. I'm gonna spoil some stuff here, so sorry. But they talked a lot about the implications of Emma bringing back Maid Marian from the past, who she was supposed to be dead, and now she's back in where Robin Hood and Regina were sort of together, and now Robin's like, okay, I've got my ex-wife that's supposed to be dead is back. and now, you know, my current girlfriend, which I kind of like this idea that it's not your typical love triangle. This is something that, you know, Robin Hood had already moved on from the death of his wife, and he found someone new. I mean, that happens in real life all the time. But now she's back, and so, like, how do you kind of deal with this? And, you know, they have a son and all these things. So, and I really liked, there was an interview before the panel, but TV Line did with most of the cast. And Jennifer Morrison said that, you know, Emma doesn't feel bad for saving Marion's life, but she does feel bad for, you know, throwing this monkey wrench into Regina's happily ever after sort of thing, her happy ending. And so she's trying to, and Regina has come to a point where she, you know, she was the evil queen, and she was doing all these terrible things because she wanted revenge, because Snow White ruined her life and everything. But now she's come to the point where she's a good person. She's not using dark magic anymore. She's learned how to use light magic, and she's reclaimed innocence, as it were. That was a theme of the last season. And it's like, you know, now Regina has a chance to show, okay, how is this change actually going to affect her? Is she going to turn back and be, you know, the vengeful evil queen again, or is she going to find another way? And I love that. It's just such great meaty storytelling that I just adore that this show is capable of. And so Emma and Regina, because they've kind of become friends. I mean, Regina, you know, before all this happened, Regina was sort of her mentor, and you know, they were you know, they were friendly toward each other. And so it's like they're kind of paralleling it a little bit, I guess, with in Frozen, how Anna has to help Elsa come out of that dark place that she's in, and, you know, find a better way that other than shutting herself off. So I think they're going to parallel that a little bit, is kind of my take on it so far. So I'm excited to see that.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, and they were even talking about how the Frozen characters just, and they didn't give a lot of specifics, but just how the Frozen characters fit so seamlessly into this show, and so it makes sense. And I even thought of this before, when it first came out. Oh, Frozen's going to be in Once Upon a Time. It's like, that makes so much sense, because even I was seeing parallels before the finale. I was like, oh my gosh, Emma and Elsa, and Let It Go, and that's like Emma. That could be Emma's theme song, I swear, because she's got a lot of, you know, stuff in her past that she's just got to, you know, let go in order to move on with her future. And that was what the season 3 finale was totally about. And Captain Hook just happened to be there to be, hey, I'm awesome, and be the one to kind of help her along with that. And speaking of which, apparently the Captain Swan fans were there in force. Represent, my friends. Thank you. The moderate, and Yvette Nicole Brown actually did ask Jen Morrison, said, hey, so who's Emma's soulmate? And Colin O'Donoghue, bless his heart, never missed a beat. He pointed at himself, and the whole room just broke into cheers, and it was so, hearing about it was just so awesome. And I just, oh my gosh, Jen and Colin were just playing it up for the crowd. I think they were doing this all through the whole Comic-Con, whether they were on panels or, you know, talking to the press or taking pictures or whatever. Every time you saw them together, they were just cheesing it up and just having a blast, and they're like just best friends. And there was even a moment where I can't remember what they were talking about, but Jen and Colin were sitting next to each other, and Jen kind of reaches over and puts her arm around Colin, and Colin leans his head on her shoulder, and everybody just lost it apparently. And there were, and I think I reblogged that about 30 times on my Tumblr. I have no regrets. That was just fantastic. I mean, I think that's what I mean, I sit here and I fangirl over this, and rightly so. And it's just, just kind of watching their story, going back to talking about how well this show is written, and how good the characters are, and how much depth there is to it. I mean, if you told me a year ago that one of my favorite fairy tale characters would be Captain Hook, I would have told you were barking mad. You're just totally crazy. And now, because of what Once Upon a Time has done with this character, is just put this new twist on it, and the way Colin plays him, oh my gosh, I totally love it. He's just, I mean, he's I think he's really the best character they've got. And he just came out of nowhere. I mean, all these others, you can kind of tell, oh yeah, they expect Rumpelstiltskin to do this, and they expect Snow White to do this. But, Captain Hook, he was a dark horse candidate to come out, and he just is pitch perfect with everything. And Emma and Hook's relationship, it's only just going to get more and more interesting and intriguing, and I'm so looking forward to seeing where they go with it. They haven't really said much about it. They've asked a lot about what's going to happen with Rumpelstiltskin and Belle, because Rumpel lied to Belle about the dagger that she's keeping, that it isn't the real one. And so they did talk about that in the panel, and they basically said, Rumpel, he's addicted to power, so he's got to really get over. He's got to kind of come to grips with that. But Belle is his conscience, so it's like, what do we do between that? And then they also said that there was they filmed a really great scene between Henry and Rumpel, and I guess Rumpel is kind of more accepting of Henry as being his grandson, and Henry's going to take over the pawn shop a little bit more, do more in the pawn shop, which is kind of sweet. I'm really excited to see that. That's going to be a cool dynamic to see. See another highlights from the panel. Speaking of Hook, he is getting a modern makeover, which is kind of exciting. During the interview video with TV Line, they brought it up in that interview, and Colin was just like, oh yeah, it's going to be great. And you could tell he wanted to talk more about it, but, they're very, very close-lipped about spoilers. And Jen just goes, oh, he's told us all about it already. We've heard all about it. So I'm excited. I mean, I don't usually get excited about costume changes and stuff like that, but where it's Colin and Captain Hook, oh yeah, I'm excited about this one. For sure. And yeah, and then I've been blathering on about this so much, but just kind of a short addendum. Colin was on the TV Guide Fan Favorites panel, which there is video of that online now. I haven't watched it yet. I just saw the link on Tumblr. And then later, this wasn't planned, but I guess Nerd HQ, which is Zachary Levy's side thing that he does at Comic-Con, there was a panel of badass women with mystery guests, and Jen Morrison was on that as well. And there's some really good stuff that's come out of that so far, and I haven't been able to watch the whole thing. But who else was on this thing? I know Sophie Turner was on it, and Ming-Na Wen from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was on it, and just some really, really great names and everything. So, yeah, I just, Once Upon a Time, they've had a really good presence this year. They had the what do they call them, the pedicabs running around Comic-Con with
yeah.
there was the one that was the Queen's carriage, and the other one was the Jolly Roger, which I laughed about the Jolly Roger one. Lana Parrilla actually tweeted a picture of that to Colin O'Donoghue, and I was like, and he hasn't, I don't think he's responded about it, and I was like, I so wanted him to find one and just take a picture with it, because it'd have been hilarious. There have been some really great tweets and pictures coming from all this. Josh Dallas had some choice things going on, but the best one, well, no, there were two that were the best one. One of them was Jared Gilmore, who plays Henry. Yesterday, he tweeted, he met a couple of cosplayers. One was cosplaying as Snow White, one was cosplaying as Belle, and these young, attractive ladies. And he tweets out, he's like, look who I found, a pair of hot grandmas. And I laughed for about 10 minutes about that. And I was like, I was expecting Josh and Colin and Jen and Lana to tweet some crazy stuff. I was not expecting Jared to do it. And I just about died.
I saw that. I'm like, you're a little shit. You know that, right? Talking about Jared. Like,
I know. I was like, wow, okay, yeah, you've been hanging around Colin too much. but that wasn't even the best one. It was, okay, so last night, Adam Horowitz took Colin and Jen out to dinner. And I can just picture this in my mind. I don't know that this is how it really went down, but I can just picture this in my mind. is Adam says to Colin and Jen, okay, you two sit together and act like you're Emma and Hook on a date. So they lean over and Colin's got the chopsticks up and like he's gonna put it in Jen's mouth like it's Lady and the Tramp. and all the Captain Swan shippers, oh my gosh, we lost it last night. It was glorious. That picture was up and down Tumblr and side to side and left to right, and I was just like, bless your hearts, you two. Just I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ships in TV and movies and stuff. I don't know any other actors who would play up this much to their fans. Maybe there are some, and I just am missing it. But oh my gosh, they're just, you can tell they're just best friends. They get along. They play off each other so well, both on screen and in these interviews and off camera and stuff when they're together. And they're just my favorite, you guys. I can't get enough of them. I'm so glad they're together on this show. I'm so glad their characters are wonderful. I'm glad they're friends. I am just it's great. It's fantastic, and I was so glad. And I'm sure there's going to be more shenanigans to come out of this before the weekend is over. And then when filming starts up again next week, oh man. I just love this show. I love these characters. Captain Swan, baby. Captain Swan. Oh, anyone else have anything they want to say about this? I've rambled enough.
I'm still too far behind. I knew all this stuff, because I can't avoid it, but I'm still too far behind. But I'm catching up.
I have watched
shows coming back.
I have watched the season 3 finale so many times, it's not even funny. And I usually don't rewatch episodes of shows, but oh my gosh, that one. My heart, my soul, my sun and stars, oh captain, my captain.
Chrissy, breathe.
What?
Breathe.
I'm okay.
Breathe.
Okay, that's enough from me. We're done.
Yeah.
I'm going to mute my microphone and let someone else talk about the rest of Comic-Con. But I've just got this big old happy grin on my face, you guys. It's not even
We can
funny.
hear it.
Yes.
Oh man.
And last but certainly not least, and I was literally updating our notes as we were having our pre-show meeting because this panel was going on as we were getting ready to record. The Marvel Cinematic Universe panel was madness, as you would expect anytime you get these cast of characters together in the same room. They had the pretty much the entire cast of Age of Ultron there, including Robert Downey Jr., who made a grand entrance into the room, as he likes to do at Comic-Con, throwing roses into the audience to the tune of Michael Jackson's "Don't Stop Till You Get Enough." So
Gotta love him. Oh, gotta love him.
Oh, God love Robert Downey Jr. But some casting news came out of this panel. Apparently, at some point, I don't know exactly what they were talking about, but I do believe that Robert Downey Jr. was like, oh, by the way, we have Thanos here. And he comes out, and it is Josh Brolin will be playing Thanos in the third Avengers movie, if we don't see Thanos before then. But Thanos is the big bad that we caught a glimpse of for a second at the end of the first Avengers movie, and everything's leading up to the big showdown with him in the third Avengers movie. So that's we got that, and then they also announced that Evangeline Lilly and Corey Stoll are joining the cast of Ant-Man. Evangeline Lilly, most people either know her from her role on Lost or as the elf Toriel in The Hobbit. She will play Hope Van Dyne, the daughter of Hank Pym, who is being played by Michael Douglas. And Corey Stoll, which if you watch House of Cards, you'll know him from that, or if you've been watching The Strain, he's in that as well. He will be playing Darren Cross, aka the Yellow Jacket, who is apparently the main antagonist of Ant-Man. So they got that. They also announced the Guardians of the Galaxy will be getting a sequel, and announced that the release date for that is July 28th, 2017, which is that's exciting. We've got a sequel, and the first movie isn't even out yet. So that's a good sign, I think, to me. And then the big thing was, yeah, the big thing was that they showed a trailer for Age of Ultron, which I'm sure, give it time, that will end up out on the internet at some point. I'm sure they'll release it to the general public at some point, but I don't be surprised if a hastily recorded version ends up on the internet between now and then. But there are details about that, which people have done quick write-ups on. I won't go over everything. Some of this I kind of actually already knew what's described in the trailer. I kind of already know because the last week's issue of Entertainment Weekly that I mentioned earlier, that's got I think I talked about this in the pre-show meeting. It's got the issue that's got Tony Stark and Captain America and Ultron on the cover. The cover story is about the new Avengers movie, and they discuss what it is, because they show images that they took on set, and there's there's a shot of in Tony Stark's home in Stark Tower. They're just kind of chilling. It's got Tony Stark and Steve Rogers, Captain America, Bruce Banner, Thor, and Hawkeye and Rhodey are in Stark's apartment with Tony, and they're just kind of chilling. And then they say in the article that they're having a nice little get together. They're chilling out, having some drinks, and then Ultron shows up. And that's kind of what happens in this trailer here. I guess in more detail, they're playing with Thor's hammer, seeing if anybody can actually lift it, which nobody can. But I guess Captain America does get it to budge a little bit, but before he actually gets it to actually move, Ultron shows up and crashes the party and issues an ultimatum. And then there's a montage of characters, Black Widow and Tony Stark and all this fun stuff. And you know how it is if you've seen pretty much any trailer for any of the Marvel movies, they kind of fit a thing, with fast cuts of action, and sometimes one-liners, sometimes they're serious, sometimes they're funny, that sort of thing, shots of the bad guy and all that fun stuff. So I won't go into too much detail, because I'm sure the trailer will come to public at some point here. I hope sooner rather than later. But that's very exciting. So and then the panel was the cast talking. Chris Evans said that Captain America is now finally caught up with the world, which, if you remember Winter Soldier, Steve's got his list of things he needs to catch up on. So apparently he's finally caught up on his entire list. So good for him.
So Empire Strikes Back finally.
Yes. So Paul Bettany, who most people know him as the voice of Jarvis. He's actually going to appear on screen as a person. Oh, wow. He's playing the Vision He said it was weird to show up to set and actually be in front of the camera. He said, I used to just turn up in a dark room, read some lines, and they hand me a bag of cash. That should be interesting. Well, I can't say Jarvis is going to have a face because he doesn't play Jarvis, but I don't know if he'll be changing his voice that way it doesn't confuse people. I guess we'll see. Apparently my in-law's dog disagrees with what I'm saying. I don't know if you can hear him in the background.
It's like, well, we don't care what you think, in-law's dog.
Yeah, that would be Piggy, and apparently Piggy is not a fan. Too bad for you. James Spader was there, who plays Ultron, and he says that this role is one of the weirdest and craziest he has ever done. He says, I play an 8-foot robot in this movie. I had always played humans up until then. So that's funny and interesting. And that's what we've got for now, because that's as far as people had posted before we decided that we really need to start recording. Because the longer we waited, the longer it would take for us to get this show under our belt. But we will definitely, post links to pretty much everything we've mentioned and probably then some. And we'll keep posting on our Facebook. We've been trying to post some of the more funny and interesting stuff that's
hopefully more accurate.
And hopefully more accurate. Things like some cool cosplay and shots that some of the celebrities have tweeted and Instagrammed out there. One of the first things we posted was a picture of Benedict Cumberbatch and a giant penguin.
Still amazing.
Yeah. So.
Yes. And now I've watched the trailer for that movie properly, and I'm like, oh yeah, it really is him.
Yeah. So, and of course, that we're recording this Saturday night. There is still a whole other day of Comic-Con to go. So we will, we'll probably do another recap of what we missed and what hasn't been happened yet.
Apparently, Misha Collins was also on the fan favorites panel earlier today.
Yes,
the Supernatural panel is Sunday at 10 a.m.
Whoa.
So.
Well, if you want to, we'll
probably
cover that.
Take that.
Yeah.
Next week or next time.
Yeah, but wait.
Or blog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll post next episode.
Something.
Whenever we get around to it.
Yeah, we will try to get as much out there as possible. I mean, I know we have crammed a lot into this episode. Like Chrissy said, we've barely scratched the surface.
Yeah. I know. There's just so much, like, all day today. Like, I was all over the Once Upon a Time stuff, but then I've also saw stuff about Arrow, and I saw stuff about the DC and Marvel and stuff, and I was just like, I'm trying to, but it was like, but there's another picture of Colin and Jen being cute, so I need to post that next on my Tumblr. Yeah. But then I'd reblog something that Stephen Amell said about Oliver and Felicity, and I was like, that needs to go up there too. And then they revealed the Wonder Woman concept art for the new.
The Wonder Woman concept is so amazing.
Yes,
well, it's better than, like, at one point there was something about NBC and their promo was like terrible. It looked like a bad Halloween costume. This one, way better.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I did see that.
Yeah. Fandom Christmas. That's what it is. It is Fandom Christmas. And
I need someone to fill It's the Most Wonderful Time of the Year with this.
Yeah.
I've had it going in my head, but I can't make it work.
Yeah.
But
anyway, just
it really is the most wonderful time of
Sean.
the year. Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Sean. Get back on this.
Do something.
Yes. Come on, Sean.
Oh. Well, and this is the great thing, because we know more or less when all our shows are coming back, and it's all on these different days. But it's like Comic-Con is when all of this is happening, more or less in the same place. I mean, Doctor Who isn't there, obviously, but we've got all these other things going around, and it's all our favorites. It's everything that we love, and it's just a big party. And we just, even though we're not there, I've seen this post going around on Tumblr that says, Tumblr for the next few days is going to be a place for people who aren't at Comic-Con to come on and gripe about how they're not at Comic-Con. But at the same time, I feel like I am there, because even though I haven't seen all the panels, I've heard about them, and people have talked about them, and I've seen snippets of video and images and things. And I'm like, that's all I want.
It's covered so well that it's almost
it really is
that you can be there without being there, because you wouldn't see everything even if you were there. So
exactly. and without being crushed by the crowd or having to smell everybody's stinky armpits. So I call that a win.
Paying all the money that you need to pay to go.
My wallet is happy I'm not there.
And I can sleep in my own bed.
Yeah.
Although, yes, I would love to meet some of these celebrities in person. Yeah. Although some of them, I would probably someone would have to come scrape me off the floor afterward, because I would just die.
Yeah.
Yeah, like. Yeah. If I were to meet Colin O'Donoghue at Comic-Con, I mean, everybody who's ever met him, they say he's just such a wonderful, awesome sweetheart of a guy. I would just be like, hi. And there was even a moment during the fan favorites panel where they were going around and asking all the stars, were like, what's the funniest fan encounter? And Colin was like, well, a lot of people ask for if they can have a picture with me, and and he's like, yeah, sure. And then they don't take their camera out. And I'm like, I would probably do that. Forget to take my camera out. He's all like, well, don't you have a camera or something you need to? Oh. But yeah, it's just great. It's just a fun time of year, and just all good things coming. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, we have a lot to look forward to. We have a lot of good things that are coming in all of our favorite fandoms, and just we'll be there for it, and see how it all goes. So, I'm sure a lot of our listeners have their favorites. If we didn't cover that, please leave us a comment on our Facebook or blog or Twitter or Tumblr or wherever. Or YouTube. Yes, leave a comment in our YouTube, because it could be where you're listening to this. Yeah. Do we want to talk about the what is it, Patreon thing?
Yes.
Patreon?
Yes.
But, Rachel, why don't you
bring
talk
that
about
up,
that real quick?
If you remember, I think all the way back on episode 2, we'd mentioned that we'd had some people that had graciously offered to gift us with funding to help us do things like pay for hosting, so that we can do all of the stuff we need to do to get the podcast up on iTunes. And after looking at different options, we now have a account on, and I'm not even sure how to exactly pronounce it, but Patreon, I guess, is the closest, probably proper pronunciation. If you're familiar with other crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter and GoFundMe and Indiegogo, and I don't even know, there's plenty out there. A lot of those are people that are all like, hey, I want to make a movie, or I want to make an album, or I want to print a book, or hey, I need funding for a trip or something, and people can donate, and it's a one-time thing, and they've got a goals amount that they're trying to raise, and if they get it, great. So there's that, but Patreon actually is closer to, it's similar, but it's more like a subscription service. you can find projects and decide, if you want to help fund these projects, but it's more for people that are generating content on a regular basis, either doing like a podcast or like a series of videos or a series of comic books or something like that, where they need continual funding. A lot of YouTubers, this is how I found out about it, there's a lot of YouTubers that I watch that use it because they want to be able to create content on a regular basis for their viewers, but probably don't have the fan base of some of the big name YouTubers who make a lot of their money straight from Google. But what you can do is you can sign up, and we'll put a link to our page specifically. And if you want to read their frequently asked questions page and info page, you can to learn more about it. But essentially, you can sign up, and you can donate depending on how the page is set up. In our case, it's monthly. You can donate as little as $1 a month, if you like, and then anywhere up, the sky's the limit up to you, depending on your budget. But what it does is you would be donating monthly, and we could take those donations and use those to pay for something like web hosting, which we would need to pay for monthly, and stuff like that. And we'd also, eventually would like to, maybe upgrade equipment so that we can up the quality of our podcast episodes. We're doing the best we can right now with the equipment we have and the technology we have, but we certainly think that we could up our game as far as quality goes, and those funds would certainly help with that, because we certainly think that better quality equipment makes better quality podcast, which therefore makes a more better quality experience for you, our listener. And then we've also got plans for other things that would require funds. Right now, stuff's in planning stages, and depending on how this goes, we'll see what happens. Obviously, we're not asking about anybody to spend money that they don't have. If you can't afford it, don't feel guilty if you can't donate, or if you sign up, you can sign up and cancel at any time. Don't feel like you're locked in for all of eternity. If you can only donate for the next couple of months, that's great. If you can donate for the next year, that's great. We have set up some tiered kind of payback thank yous for certain donation levels. Nothing too exciting, obviously, because we don't really have deliverables like art or anything. But we have come up with a few ways to say thank you if you decide to donate. But once again, do not feel obligated. It's just that we had people offer, and we didn't be like, hey, yeah, sure, send us money, because that's just weird. We'd like to go through an avenue like this where you can see, where it's secure, and you can see exactly where your money is going, and you can get something, hopefully in return, that you feel is worth your donation. So like I said, we'll put a link to our page and their information page so you can read more about it. It is legit, just like Kickstarter and all that, and secure and all that fun stuff that comes with handing out your bank number on the internet. But it's out there. So if you're one of those people that was like, hey, I like the cut of their jib, I want to help them out, that is the route that we'd like you to take as far as helping us out, to make this podcast the best that it can be. Like the Army. Is that the Army? Is that their quote? Be the best you can be? Be all
that you can be.
Yeah, something like that.
That's what
it is. So, yeah. But like we said, don't feel obligated to spend money you don't have. But if you feel compelled, you will you will certainly make us feel warm fuzzies, and you will certainly be on our nice list, and we'll make sure that you're on Santa's nice list as well for Christmas.
And we'll read you will be what am I trying to say? You will be our number one fan forever.
Yeah.
we can have multiple number one fans.
Yep. So that's out there. So that's our announcement as far as that goes. So I think with that we're gonna sign off for this week, because this is gonna be an epic episode as far as length goes. Yes. So if you stuck around to this point, a big old bag of virtual jelly babies to you for sticking around this long. Mm-hmm. So. But with that, I think we're gonna sign off for this week. So.
This is Brittany from Taz saying goodnight.
This is a very exhausted Chrissy from Salt Lake City saying goodnight.
This is Michelle from Kitchener, Ontario saying goodnight.
And this is Rachel from Indianapolis, Indiana. Although I'm not in Indianapolis, Indiana, but I will be probably by the time you hear this. Saying good night, everyone. You have been listening to the Five-ish Fangirls podcast. Any and all movies, books, games, and other forms of media mentioned are owned and operated by the respective copyright holders. No copyright infringement is intended or implied.